All right. Welcome back to Iowa and Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Jerry Dulac. Steelers rookie minicamp starts tomorrow. I'll be there. Steelers now have lost or let go 10 starters from last season. Look at this list. Pickens, Harris, Fields, Wilson, Jefferson, Dan Moore Jr., Daniels, Ogunjobi, Landon Roberts, Dante Jackson. That's nearly 50% of the first team. That's crazy. And we'll see if they get Aaron Rodgers. That's what we're all waiting for. I would think that he's got to sign. You would think he would sign before minicamp, but I know the Steelers internally aren't worried as long as he gets there by training camp. All right, let's get back to the Pirates and the big news of the day. And I think the only reason Cherington's still there, it's going to be hard to get a general manager. I get that philosophy. I mean, I would be fine with putting anyone in there right now, but you can't really steal anyone away from another team right now. They're in the middle of scouting, getting all that stuff done in preparations for the draft, right?
I mean, yes, for logical reasons, it's tough to do. I mean, I think many others want a pound of flesh, but this goes back to where you started the show tonight, Rich. Why was Derek Shelton not fired after last season, and why was Ben Cherington not fired?
Money, right? It has to be money. What? Nutting doesn't want to pay these guys, too.
No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because I know there are people who combine, like when Felipe Vasquez's contract came off the books or whatever. The bottom line is when they got rid of Hurdle, when they got rid of Huntington, and when they got rid of Coonelly, in pretty much just about one fell swoop, that was like 8 figures for them to be collectively bought out. And I don't care what other money may or may not have come off the books. You're still paying 8 figures for people to not work. Yeah. So I'm going to give Bob Nutting the benefit of the doubt here and say that this isn't Bob Nutting doesn't want to pay people to not work, frankly, because we've seen him actually do that in the past. I do think it makes it organizational malpractice, though, on his part as owner. Whoever got him, or because I don't know if you heard the same thing, Richie. I heard that there was real danger for both of these guys that they were going to be fired after last year, the way the season completely tanked. And whoever or whatever compelled Bob Nutting to not act on what may have been his first instinct, which would have been the correct one to let those guys go, is the real problem here. Yeah. Because they needed a full reset after last season, and they just didn't have the gumption to do it. There's one other factor here I'll just share with people. I know this was also true. Bob Nutting was very much toying with the idea way back in 2012. He was a little bit on the brink as to whether or not he should fire Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington after that 2012 collapse that saw them finish 79 and 83. He didn't, and they go on their best 3-year run since the early 90s of regular season success. I do wonder if stuff like that, saying, hey, well, I gave these guys one more chance 12 years ago, and it worked out really well. I do wonder if that played into, the way he handled this situation.
They should have found a way to hire Terry Francona last year. Let's go out to Marty in Charleroi. How you doing, Marty?
Okay, how you guys doing tonight?
Thanks for calling.
I don't want you to think I'm defending Derek Shelton, but he was a scapegoat. I mean, probably you or I or Derek Shelton can coach the Yankees.
Yeah, you know what? It was a Band-Aid, and we talked about that earlier. I think managers are responsible for, 5 to 10 games a year, wins or losses. And maybe that's, maybe it's not even that much.
I mean, tactically, like, do you handle your bullpen well? He didn't. Okay, then you're costing your team games. I think tactically 5 to 7 games can be won or lost because of the manager. I think Shelton had a horrible feel for his bullpen. I think more importantly, though, there were enough reports swirling from people who are around the team on a day-to-day basis just saying the attitude and the vibe, whatever, is so morose, is so down in the dumps. That has to be a byproduct of the manager. Yeah. They also just play incredibly sloppy, careless baseball. They don't take the extra base. Sometimes their just heads aren't in the game. All of that is a reflection of the manager. I think it's pretty fair to say that with their play on the field and what you heard about them off the field, Derek Shelton had lost whatever of that clubhouse he still had. And so while it might be a Band-Aid in a lot of ways, it's not like he deserved to keep his job. He did not.
You know, I asked Cherington that exact question today. Do you think he lost the clubhouse? And he kind of skirted around it. I didn't really answer the question.
I heard him, Richie. I heard it was a good question, and yeah. He's kind of, I didn't get any indications that was the case. Well, that's not very convincing to those of us listening. I mean, when you can't emphatically say no, he did not lose the clubhouse, then it leads everyone to sort of suggest or infer that you mean, yeah, he might have, but I'm not going to say that publicly.
It felt like he did. Let's go out to Will in McKees Rocks. How you doing, Will?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
Hey, my question is this. Going forward to the off season, isn't it going to be very difficult to find a good baseball manager based on the ownership that we have now?
That's a really good question because, I don't know if free agents want to come here. Do you think people want to come here to manage his team knowing what's going to happen in a few years? I think Derek Shelton got a few more years than he would have got anywhere else on this planet.
The problem is the people that would be willing, no questions asked, to come here and manage aren't usually, or in this case, wouldn't be the people you'd want. I think you need somebody who has some sort of established track record that they've managed a team, maybe even been good.
Not
Joe
Donnie
Madden's
Kelly?
70. No, I mean, Joe Madden is 71, and he'd still be my top choice. Don Mattingly is, I think, the Blue Jays bench coach right now. Brad Ausmus has been a manager before. He's the Yankees bench coach. Get somebody, those are guys who have been there, done that to one degree or another. But yeah, I mean, Will is right to call in and say, is anybody really going to want to manage if they've done it elsewhere? They might hold out for a better opportunity. Well, that would then hypothetically leave you back looking around amongst guys who've never managed before. Well, what just happened when you hired one of those in Derek Shelton? Nothing good. I mean, he was basically in over his head from moment one, even if you give him some grace because of the COVID year and what a mess that was. The guy never showed to any level whatsoever that he was actually fit to run a major league team. And so if that's the pool of candidates in the future now that you're picking from, guys similar to Shelton, I don't know how that inspires a lot of confidence in people.
Let's go to Lou in Baldwin. How you doing, Lou?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
I think there should be some type of base pay for these players and put an incentive in there, like a package where if you hit a home run, you get a certain amount. If you are a pitcher, you get a certain amount for strikeouts. And, give these guys an incentive to play and win.
Yeah, I've always said I think salaries should be incentive-based, but I get why they do it. There needs to be a salary cap and a salary floor in Major League Baseball, or nothing's going to change.
Wait, you guys think that their salaries should be totally incentive-based?
I'm saying that there should be some kind of structure. I've said this for years, that there should be incentive-based.
I mean, there are incentive clauses in contracts.
I get there are, but a salary cap and a salary floor would fix that. I mean, if you're paying a guy $30 million a year and he's only playing like a guy that makes $200,000, $500,000, or $700,000, I mean, that's not fair. There should be some kind. There are, but not to the extent I think the
You're not going to get me on board with that at all, honestly, because the NFL has that, and while I know people love the NFL because it's got a cap, let's not pretend like the NFL isn't full of teams.
Wait, you don't think Major League Baseball should have a cap?
I'd rather have a floor. I'd rather have a salary floor. And salary floor is the real problem here. I don't care that the Mets spend $400 million. I'd like to see teams be forced to spend 115, 120 as a bare minimum level. Don't, there's revenue sharing for a reason. I want that money to be redistributed to payroll. But this idea that, if a guy's not playing up to his contract, well, you can kneecap him. We see that in the NFL all the time, and I think that's ridiculous, even though I understand why most fans who root for the team like it, but team decides your contract's non-guaranteed, they don't want to pay you that money anymore. See you later. Gabe Davis, injury designation, failed his physical, goodbye. I'm not going down that road with baseball players. In fact, the team like Juan Soto, $750 million contract, it's punishment enough for the Mets that in the back half of that deal, it's probably going to look ugly. That's their problem. I don't see an issue with that. They signed the deal. They'll reap the benefits for 7 or 8 years, but then they got to pay the piper for probably the last 5 or 6.
Yeah, I want a salary cap and a salary floor. I want to see the Pirates be competitive. I don't think that'll change until you get that and maybe new ownership. But also, I'm betting there's going to be some kind of work stoppage here in a couple years. All right.
Well, the owners are going to lock out. The owners are going to lock out the players, and then it's going to be everyone. I mean, let's be honest. It's going to be everyone blaming the players for not taking whatever deal the owners throw at them. Yet when the players would go on strike, suddenly the players are all evil and greedy, despite them being the millionaires and the other guys being the billionaires.
All right. Back in a couple minutes.
Hey, Richie. Hi, Chris.
Good. Hey.
I seen my first game, 1949, at Forbes Field, and I seen the Rinky Dinks. They were 42 and 112, and there was only 16 teams, and they were a bad team. But what Sherrington's put together, this is the worst team I've ever seen, and I really hope you don't get to do the draft, and Nunning could just someday be a man and show the city of Pittsburgh that he is a man. And
Hey, well, he's definitely going to do the draft. I think the team in 2020 was a little bit worse, but this is a bad one that we're watching right now. At least they have Skeens. And he told me if you squint, you're going to see a good team. He said it like 5 times.
Yeah, I squinted so hard when I looked at their roster, I almost went blind, Richie. And guess what? Didn't find a good team. And you laugh. You say that 19-41 team in 2020 was worse. We're quickly approaching that territory.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, yeah, you're not going to see a Charrington change, but who's the most to blame here? Everyone, I think, is on board with us. Bob Nutting, 82%. Derek Shelton, maybe just the Band-Aid. All right, thanks a lot, Chris. See you next week. Hopefully we see you guys on KDKA News right now.